Shelby Cobra 427, MkIII, 1966. The AC Cobra, sold in the United States as the Shelby Cobra and AC Shelby Cobra, is a British-American sports car with a Ford V8 engine, produced intermittently in both the UK and the US since 1962. Like many British manufacturers, AC cars had been using the Bristol straight 6 engine in its small volume production, including its AC Ace 2-seater Roadster. This had a hand-built body with a steel tube frame, and aluminium body panels that were made using English wheeling machines. The engine was a pre-World War II design by BMW, which by the 1960s was considered dated. In 1961, Bristol decided to cease production of its engine. In September 1961, American retired race car driver and automotive designer Carroll Shelby wrote to AC asking if they would build him a car modified to accept a V8 engine. Bristol engines for the AC Ace 2-seater sports car had recently been discontinued, so AC agreed, provided a suitable engine could be found. Shelby went to Chevrolet to see if they would provide him with engines, but not wanting to add competition to the Corvette, they said no. However, Ford wanted a car that could compete with the Corvette, and they happened to have a brand new engine which could be used in this endeavor, the Windsor 3.6-liter, 221 cubic inches, engine, a new lightweight, thin wall-cast small block V8. Ford provided Shelby with 2 engines. In January 1962, mechanics at AC Cars in Timsditton, Surrey designed the AC Ace 3.6 inches prototype with chassis number CSX 2000. AC had already made most of the modifications needed for the small block V8 when they installed the 2.553-liter, 156 cubic inches, inline-6 Ford Zephyr engine, including the extensive rework of the AC Ace's front-end bodywork. The only modification of the front end of the first Cobra from that of the AC Ace 2.6 inches was the steering box, which had to be moved outward to clear the wider V8 engine. The most important modification was the fitting of a stronger rear differential to handle the increased engine power. A Salisbury 4-wheel unit with inboard disc brakes to reduce unsprung weight was chosen instead of the old DNV unit. It was the same unit used on the Jaguar E-Type. After testing and modification, the engine and transmission were removed and the chassis was air freighted to Shelby in Los Angeles on February 2, 1962. By this time the small block's displacement was increased to 4.3 liters, 260 cubic inches. Shelby's team paired this engine along with a transmission into CSX 2000, in less than 8 hours at Dean Moon's shop in Santa Fe Springs, California, and began road testing. A few changes were made to the production version. The inboard brakes were moved outboard to reduce cost. The fuel tank filler was relocated from the fender to the center of the trunk. The trunk lid had to be shortened to accommodate this change. AC exported completed, painted, and trimmed cars, less engine and gearbox, to Shelby, who then finished the cars in his workshop in Los Angeles by installing the engine and gearbox and correcting any bodywork flaws caused by the car's passage by sea. A small number of cars were also completed on the east coast of the U.S. by Ed Hughes in Pennsylvania, including the first production car, CSX 2001. The first 75 Cobra MkIII models, including the prototype, were fitted with the 4.3 liters, 260 cubic inches. The remaining 51 MkIII models were fitted with a larger version of the Windsor Ford engine, the 4.7-liter, 289 cubic inches, V8. In late 1962, Alan Turner, AC's chief engineer, completed a major design change of the car's front end to accommodate track and pinion steering while still using transverse leaf spring suspension, with the leaf spring doubling as the upper suspension link. The new car entered production in early 1963 and was designated Mark II. The steering rack was borrowed from the MGB while the new steering column came from the VW Beetle. About 528 Mark II Cobras were produced in the summer of 1965, the last US-bound Mark II was produced in November 1964. In 1963, to keep production focused on producing cars for Shelby American Incorporated, the Rudd Speed Ace was discontinued. To supply cars to the European market, AC began to market and sell the Cobra in Europe. Advertisements from the time state that the Cobra was designed to meet the requirements of Shelby American Incorporated.